Innovation is in our veins. Soon the whole world will know our names. Sharing our knowledge and freedom reign. We're here for the people, you know it's our way. Setting foundations is part of the dream. It doesn't matter if you're new to the game. Listen up now, cause we all gon' say, elevate, 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 higher, elevate, 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 higher. We gon' rise up, we all gon' shine. Work through adversity, stay on the grind. Elevate, elevate, this is our time. Elevate, elevate.
Welcome to the ELEV8 podcast, everyone. It's so great to have you all on one more time. And it's your host, Josh Udall. Super stoked to be here with you right now. We are back after a month off, baby. Woo! Super stoked to be here with all of you. There's obviously a lot that has happened here in the past just week. What's going on in the political realm? Well, we know that supply and agreement deal is gonzos. So we're going to be discussing that today and kind of all the ramifications of Jagmeet pulling that deal right now, here and now, what's happening. First off, though, which I think is most important, got to obviously have my Flames jersey on right now. Obviously, the tragedy that took place with Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau was tragic and awful, and really want to take the time to, shout out the family, shout out them as people and as hockey players that are fantastic to watch. Johnny obviously had a huge impact on the Calgary area. Me being a Flames fan since I was a 5-year-old kid, he meant a lot to the organization, the franchise, and especially me as a fan. And I've only ever purchased one jersey with a name on it, and it was actually his. So I figured I would wear it in honor of him this evening, and super stoked to be able to do that. And obviously my thoughts and my prayers are going out to his family at this time. It's just it's tragic what's happened. But next is another weird situation that we have to talk about tonight. And as you can see, I didn't introduce Reg on the show. It stinks. He will not be coming back to the show, unfortunately. The issue that's happened is we went off air, took our break, and then after our break, we did one TikTok. We posted one TikTok, and it got spammed with just really, really negative comments, really not nice things that were being said about a specific group of people. And the powers that be, we know that Reg has a job outside of this, and he had to make a decision. And so before we move on, I figured it'd be incumbent upon me to share what Reg wanted me to share with all of you. And then from there, we'll kind of discuss what are the next steps for the show. Where do we go from here? So Reg says this: "It's with deep disappointment that I have to leave the show. Unfortunately, some of the topics that we touch are very sensitive in nature, and this has led to some of the comments being seen as problematic. Because of my connection to a provincial body, I had to take the decision to step away. I will always be a believer in the show of the everyday person and keeping a critical and watchful eye on those elected to lead us. That said, I must also acknowledge that I have a duty to my growing family and also to my career aspirations, including pursuing my doctorate. With that said, I'd like to end by saying a heartfelt thank you for listening and for your support. If you ever want to reach out, I'm always on Instagram. Thanks again, folks. You made it all worthwhile." And those are very obviously comforting words from Reg. Really appreciate those coming from him. And it stinks because things like this happen and you have to leave shows like this. And, if self-censorship isn't going to work, then pressures can be put on in other ways, unfortunately. And as I was digging into the comments that were being posted on this TikTok, I was looking at a lot of the comments that, again, it was the first time in the show's history I actually had to pull a video off of TikTok. It was the first time I had to censor what we were posting because the comments were so heinous. And it's not the left-wing perspective of what heinous is. It is like real world stuff that I can't mention here on YouTube right now, or our stream would get nuked right here and now. No, so we had to take it down. I went back to those, and those comments are obviously what got the attention of some people in Reg's life that forced him to make a decision. I was going into some of these accounts and realized they are all bot accounts. I about 99% sure our show was victim of a bot attack that led to Reg having to leave the show. And I don't take very nicely to that. And it makes me want to double down even more on what we're doing here. I think what we're doing here is very important. I think it's important because there's some people who think we're very conservative and right-leaning, others who think we're not right enough, not conservative enough, you're too left. And that's kind of the space I like to be, personally. And I like what we've accomplished over the last year. Some of you who just started listening over the past year, some listened 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And as the person who's been the driving force behind this show for so long, I'm not willing to give up and let go that easily. So this is where I bring the viewers in, the listeners, you guys who have been keeping us going for so long. There's a couple ways we can do this. There's one where I drive off into the sunset and this show ends right here and now. It ends where it is. And, you know, there's other shows that do what I'm doing currently. Guys like the Pleb, those are like Moose on the Loose, or Northern Perspectives. They do a great job of like just riffing to the camera and talking about political issues. And do we need another show like that? I don't know. I'm convinced. I'm personally committed to doing that if that's what you as the listeners want from me. We will still talk about tough political issues, things that are happening, and we will press forward. And instead of me having a co-host, I'll be doing these shows live. And you, the audience, will be my co-host. I'll be watching and reading comments and responding to what's going on and riffing off the comments as well. And the show would kind of go into a couple different directions. Instead of being a once-a-week show where we do an hour, I will be looking to do a live show twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, for 20 to 30 minutes each, covering political problems and news right then and now. And that's kind of the direction that we could take it. So those are the two spots. Either we go down the talking head route where you become my co-host as a listener who's been around for so long, or two, we end it right here and now. And this is the end of the ELEV8 podcast. I am happy either way. I'm committed and I'm surrendered because at the end of the day, I want to do what's right for you, the Canadian people, my fellow Canadians. Want to do what's right by all of you. So that is where things are currently laid out. That's where we are headed. It stinks to essentially say goodbye to Reg in this fashion, in this way. The fact he can't even have a goodbye episode stinks. The fact that a lot of heat was put on him over things that he didn't even do. We posted a TikTok talking about the news, doing exactly what I'm doing now, and that's what got him caught. And that's unfortunate. And that is not nice. And it was, again, from my perspective, from what I'm seeing, victim of a bot attack, and it was just not right. So I'm seeing 5 Pines right now. You're slipping into the co-host seat and you say, just keep going. And Jamie, just because you said so, we're going to keep going. But that's kind of, I'm going to leave it up. You know, we're going to finish this stream off tonight here in about 10, 15, 20 minutes. We got some political things to obviously touch on and talk about. And then from there, I'm going to leave this show up for a week and I'm going to let the comments populate. Let people email us through our show email at hi-elevate-podcast and .ca. Let us know what you want to see happen. And we admittedly have been getting a lot of messages leading up to this episode tonight where me and Reg were talking before the show, and we definitely underestimated your support. We underestimated your love and care for us as people, as hosts. Admittedly, I'm a little emotional and overwhelmed by the outpouring of support from our community here that we've built, that you've been just chomping at the bit to be able to hear us talk about politics again. This has been such a fun year for me and Reg. Obviously going to CSFN, getting to become friends with people like Jennifer L., Stuart Benson, and others, and being able to talk to some really cool people in the space. And I would hate for that all to end. But at the same time, as I said, I'm surrendered to whatever is best for this community and what you guys want to see happen. So I'm grateful, I'll say, and I'll speak on behalf of Reg as well, as he's very grateful for you guys. The messages we got of like people dying for us to come back made Reg probably feel actually a little bit worse because he's like, oh man, they really want me back. They're really not going to like this news. That's not the way we want to come back. But that's where things are at. We're going to leave this out. I'm seeing the comments filling in right here. Very grateful for all of you and love the comments that we're seeing. And we will be going through them all at the end of the show. So we're going to talk about this Jagmeet pulling out a supply and confidence deal and what's happening there. And then as well as then we're going to address the comment section here and go through some of our super chats. And then we will call it a night, and I'll be back on Tuesday with a full regular political show hitting all the topics. So Jagmeet Singh doing his thing. So he goes in and pulls the supply and confidence deal, which I think is very fascinating, isn't it? So in this article, it says, Singh says announcing the death of the NDP Liberal Pact was shot weeks ago. To anyone who saw this video, this is beautifully curated video of Jagmeet saying, you know, I care about the Canadian people. And do you know who doesn't care about the Canadian people? Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau. And Justin Trudeau's too weak. He essentially painted Pierre Poilievre as the worst human being ever, and then painted Trudeau as the weakest human ever and can't stand up to corporate greed. It was an interesting video. And so he comes out, admits that this was shot weeks ago. We've been planning this for a while. And the politics behind the scenes was very interesting. NDP, as you may know, Jagmeet didn't give Trudeau a heads up they were doing this. The Liberal Party found out about this when the press release went out that Jagmeet was going to be pulling from the supply and confidence deal. And so obviously that kind of would hit someone like Trudeau like a freight train. The man's a little bit weak as it is. It's tough to be human sometimes when you're someone like Justin Trudeau. And admittedly, I just came back from vacationing down in the States, and I have very left-wing Democrat friends, blue as ever. And even they were saying, man, your leadership sounds terrible. Like, what's that Trudeau guy even doing? And I was like, well, I'll tell you this. I know politics are a little spicy down here south of the border, but I'll tell you this much. You keep voting in the direction you're voting in, you're going to be in a Trudeau situation yourself. But it was interesting kind of seeing our really left-wing friends down in the States, seeing how bad Trudeau is as a leader. But that I digress. So Jagmeet was like, we're finally pulling out, and he's trying to become a man today, I guess, and set this whole thing up and making sure that he stands for the working class is really the perception and the target he's going after in this case. And then today he did his press conference talking about these very issues. It was interesting kind of hearing him talk. He did his best to frame himself in the mind of the voter that he is going to be the guy to take out Pierre Poilievre. He even so much as, quote, said, Justin Trudeau is too weak to take on Pierre and his corporate cronies buddies. And I was like, yikes. Like, that's some fighting words come from Jagmeet, I have to admit. But you can tell he's taking a very aggressive approach that he's going to be we know that likely NDP ain't going to be winning no majority. But he's setting himself up to be the official opposition, essentially, to a conservative government. And he's like, I'm going to be the tough guy here. And we all know that Justin Trudeau has completely debilitated that whole Liberal Party. We won't see Liberals again for probably a decade after this all is said and done. It's pretty rough over there. So it was a big thing that happened that he pulled out. I'm sure a lot of our listeners, a lot of you watching right now, were like, praise Jesus. He finally pulled out of it. What does this mean for us? And that is the question a lot of us are asking. What does this mean? He pulled out of the agreement. What's going to happen? I think two things are going to happen here. Actually, potentially three, but two likelihood situations. One, we see Justin Trudeau flex his muscles that he doesn't have much of, and says, you know what? I'm mad at Jagmeet, what he just did. I'm just going to call an election because I think I'm going to win. Because we all realize that he thinks he's going to win everything, which is kind of wild. So he could literally drop the writ and call an election within the next handful of months. Could happen. Number two, Pierre Poilievre calls Jagmeet's bluff in the House of Commons and tables a bill that's going to force Jagmeet to vote. And either he's going to have to vote non-confidence or vote with the Liberals. And that right there is what we're going to see of who is playing the game and who's for real. And that's, I think, I think it's option number two that's going to happen is Poilievre's going to push Jagmeet to make a decision. And Jagmeet could still side with the Liberals, or he could force a vote, force an election. And that, I think, will be very telling, because if he just sides with liberals, he's going to try his best to squirm his way and like make it make sense in his mind to his followers. But it's not going to go very well. And I think people will see him for the slimy eel, unfortunately, that he is. He's not the smartest politician. People I've talked to who are in his circles admit like he's a nice guy. Like he's really genuine. I wouldn't say genuine, but he's fun to talk to. He's personable, but they'll say he's kind of the worst politician out there. And so that's kind of what we'll probably see happen here with Jagmeet. Is I think Poilievre's likely going to force his hand in the House of Commons, and we'll see how he votes. Third option that could happen, though, is Jagmeet votes to break, votes against whatever bill, or votes outside of the Liberals. But the Bloc could come in and save the day and continue some type of supply agreement with the Liberals, with the Bloc Québécois, which we all know, we can hear Reg saying right now, are you serious? A one party representing one province is going to hold up our election processes here in Canada. And to that I say, welcome to Canada. That's how things do. And so those are the three options that could happen. We'll see what happens, and we'll let you populate the comments, and we'll address the questions as they come, or people's comments as they come. It'll be interesting to hear your perspectives on it. That's likely what we're going to see here in the next little bit. So what does this mean for like us as voters going forward? What is this happening? Well, I think the thing is, keep talking to the people in your life, see what's going on, and just keep your ear to the ground and what happens. Admittedly, over the past month, I've really enjoyed not paying attention to any politics. I've actually sworn it all off. I've just kind of went head first into it like yesterday, essentially. And it was, I admit, life was good. Life was peaceful. I really enjoyed it. But I do need to keep some kind of ear to the ground. So keep y'all informed of what's happening. Keep locked in with us, especially since I'm going twice a week now. And keep this party going. Another thing that happened last night, which I thought was interesting, is we actually had I got to hit this first before we move forward. The statement from the Liberal Party was really interesting when Jagmeet announced this thing. This is a statement from the Liberal Party of Canada on the best fundraising email 2024. Apparently, people are still giving money to this party. Either the Liberals are lying, or people are just so much in their fandom that they'll keep giving money to this party. But they said yesterday, after Jagmeet Singh bowed, they used the word bowed, to Pierre Poilievre's wishes and removed the NDP from the supply and confidence agreement, the Liberal Party achieved its best fundraising email of 2024 so far. Eat that suck, as they say. It's clear Canadians are disappointed that the NDP abandoned progressive policies and put important programs like dental care, farmer care, and $10 a day childcare at risk of conservative cuts. Whew. While the NDP follows Pierre Poilievre, will put progress over politics and keep delivering for Canadians. And that, my friends, is probably the most political statement you're going to hear come out, especially when they start talking about dental care, farmer care, $10 a day childcare. I could be wrong on this. Pretty sure that all three of those were tabled by the NDP, and Liberals did nothing to bring those forward. So that's kind of funny to read that. But apparently either they are making money or they're losing money, one of the two. But it was interesting kind of seeing they got hit by the freight train that this happened. And then this was their initial statement. We made money through fundraising. And then it's interesting kind of seeing the left side of X, left side of Twitter, people popping off. This one actually was brought by Jennifer L. on TikTok. It brought my attention to it. I thought it was interesting. He says, one has to wonder, from Chris Whitfield, one has to wonder just how long he has been sitting on that video talking about Jagmeet Singh. And when did Jeff tell him to release it? Who, I believe the Jeff he's referring to is the man who oversees and runs Canada Proud. This seems very suspicious. I think he's probably going across the floor to the Conservatives to save his pension. What? Like, these people are like out of their minds. Like, to even suggest that's an option is wild. Jagmeet might cross the floor. Okay, buddy. Take it easy. I know you're upset that, your little Trudeau is not doing too well, but that's just kind of what's happening in the area of X right now, and the left losing their minds that NDP could snap an election. So we'll see what happens. But then secondly, we have our favorite, Vicky Campbell. Shout out Vicky Campbell, eh? on X. If you follow her, well, you get to watch a lot of interesting political rhetoric come off of this account. I actually am convinced this is not a real person. I believe it's some type of liberal shill, because it's just kind of odd. The whole account's really odd and really unhinged in general. But what happened to us was she posted, or they posted, whoever it is, posted a just a really unhinged comment about how, Jagmeet's in the worst, and, how much money did Pierre Poilievre pay Jagmeet to do this? And all we commented with is, I'll even go to the profile here and pull the reply up, is over here, right here. Here it is. I wonder how much money Jagmeet accepted from Poilievre, was the question Vicky put out. And all we said is, win a majority next time. If Trudeau's so popular. What I was referring to is, don't worry about it. If you have a majority, then you wouldn't be crying about someone pulling out in a minority deal. And that got us blocked last night from this account. And we appreciate everyone pouring into the comments on that one, being like, well, welcome to the club. This is hilarious. This is awesome. She blocks everybody. And I'm like, I get it. But what discourages me about it is the fact that it just continues a stupid echo chamber that happens on both sides of the aisle. But then people like this, who has such a big account on the left, is just taking away any type of dissenting opinion, and it creates those echo chambers even more. And I'm bummed out because this situation is now, it's a loss from my perspective for a democracy. It's a loss for things, how we do things here in the West. And so as much as I'm kind of happy I don't have to look at this person's tweets anymore, because they're insane, it is kind of a bummer, the fact that we're at this point where we're just kind of blocking people out no matter what. Oops. And I'm going to pull that out here. So that's where things are at with the old Vicky Rue there, which I thought was very interesting. And that's kind of that was our introduction back into politics after a month. Jagmeet, Vicky blocking us after posting one comment to her. And here we are. Bob's your uncle. You guys are filling this comment section. Thank you so very much. That's what we'll be kind of moving into here. Is comment time. So what do we got here? People, yeah, 5 Fine talents keep going. Tango Cayman says, you got to keep going, bud. You do great work. G-Mon. I think of the movie She's the Man. I want to see that name. Dude, 2 20, 30 minutes twice a week is actually a good balance. Good. Appreciate the feedback. What time would be the live show? Well, that's a great question. I'm actually maneuvering between 2 different times right now. I'm tempted to do 4 o'clock in the afternoon. People were getting right off work, that type of thing. Or I'm tempted to go the opposite end of the spectrum and do a 10 o'clock Atlantic time show, which would be about 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. out West, and then 6 p.m. in BC. So I'm tempted to kind of work with a really late time. We'll see what happens. Cause I like the idea of the late time, because then you can kind of catch everything that happened throughout the day. I'm just trying to figure out a time where I'm not in the core hours of my evening, where I can still go out and do things with friends and stuff, and I'm not locked up on a Tuesday and Thursday. So that's kind of what I'm entertaining and trying to figure out right now, and we'll see where it goes. But great question. 99% of success is perseverance. Seabass, you're not wrong. This whole show is pretty much an element of doing your best and being great and trying to put yourself out there and going hard. We got our whole start. We got big because of TikTok, and then YouTube followed a year later. And then, we had a great co-host with Reg, who brought a lot of great meat and quality conversation to the table. And we're going to keep trying to pick Reg's. I'm still going to pick Reg's brain on things. Him and I are still going to be talking. I'm going to be bringing a lot of his perspective still to the table, because I think it's really important. I think he was a really great resource for the show, and I want to keep him involved to some degree as well. And G-Man says, that press conference was a massive train wreck. You're not wrong. Block will be opposition. Painful question periods ahead. You're not wrong. And Honeybee Games. Yes, we need you. Admittedly, that means a lot. I do appreciate that. I want to keep going. At the very least, the one thing I want to do is I'd never, as people who know the show know where it originated from, I never wanted this to become a political show. Then it became a political show. And so now that's a political show. There was no way on God's green earth I want to end this show before we see a stinking election. I want to see an election while doing the show. After that, we'll see what happens. We'll see where the wind blows. But we got to hold on to this until at least next year, whenever this election happens. We got to be able to keep doing the show through an election, because that's when the views happen, baby. That's when all the fun happens. And then we'll see here. Julia, quick, what happened to Reggie? I missed it. You can rewind, but essentially, I gave a nice, thoughtful thought piece on what happened with Reg. You can kind of rewind, but essentially, he's not going to continue anymore. Not because I still love him. He still loves me. But because of the nature of the show, his hand was forced with some things happening on the peripherals and things that in his life. And he is unable to continue the show because of the spiciness of the show, unfortunately. But he's still going to be heavily involved. He's not, but I'm going to try and keep his brain involved to a degree. Because again, as I said, he brings a lot of great perspectives to the show. Why are they bragging about less than 24 hours of fundraising? The Great Dominion says. Reason why they're bragging is because that's all they got. They are cooked. They are done. No one likes these guys. Andy Fillmore was just in Halifax, who was a Liberal MP who stepped down because now he's going to become a mayor of Halifax. He was just doing, his tour here in Halifax, talking to his old riding and what's going to happen. And like a guy like Andy Fillmore is trying to cut loose. And he's got a bit of a reputation around here, and that he's a politician, essentially, is what I'll leave it at. So they don't have a whole lot of wins that they're stacking up right now. So the only thing they can stack up on wins in is something that's not transparent, like fundraising, money coming in. We'll see. I don't know how much money is actually coming in, but that's all they can brag about, because they have nothing. They have no policy to brag upon. They have no success. They keep kind of going off of things that the NDP have brought to the table, or have stolen things from Pierre Poilievre's potential campaign. That's really all they're running on at this point. And they're trying their best. They're doing more thoughtful things now, trying to do more thoughtful policy that gets people excited. But it's too much, too little, too late. It's over for them. And so is the NDP. Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. I think Jagmeet Singh is completely screwed over that whole party, I'll have to say. And all the work Jack Layton did, poof, gone, unfortunately. Why did you change your name, Jagmeet? That's a great question, Andy. Ask the real questions out here. And Chris Colligan says, keep it going. Gonna miss Reg. You are awesome. Love your content. Appreciate it a lot. Chris, means the world. And this has been a great show. Really appreciate all the views and the likes that we've gotten. Curious how this will perform throughout the next few days. We are grateful. We're going to kind of end it on that note. And just wanted to let you guys know that I think y'all are awesome. I'll be back next Tuesday, and we'll be talking a good solid 3-4 solid hours, 3-4 solid topics for content. We're going to get right into the politics of everything, but wanted to get through all this tonight, tell you what's going on, and I will see you Tuesday. So whatever it is you're doing, whether you be going to the mall, whether you be going to work, or just moseying away on a ferry boat in Atlantic Canada, whatever it is you're doing, wherever you are, I love you. I'm out. Peace.